Well, I hope everybody's staying warm. We didn't have a chance to talk about this assignment in class, the Me in 3D. So I'm going to talk about that in this video for you so you can get the information, so you can get the assignment in, and you can bring those collages to class next week. And just open up your Canvas. Oh, obviously, you found me in Canvas, so go ahead and I'm going to go through the assignment. I have it open here on the side and go through the instructions. This is a collage assignment, kind of not like the brainstorming one that we did. This one I'm looking for a lot more images and different and intersection of language and words. And it's called Me in 3D because you are multifaceted, your identity, and there's many aspects to you. So I want you to be able to represent that. I've identified six different on a cube, six different sides. The first one is co-culture groups. Number one, co-culture groups that you feel like you belong to or make up your identity. Who are you? Who do you belong to? This can be family or friend groups. This can be part of a career or a team that you're on. This could be about things that you feel like you're a fan of, like the hashtag Beehive or hashtag Swifties. It could be nonprofit groups or clubs, or it could be like an activist identity that makes you feel like more connected to self. It could be your ethnicity. It can be your religion. I mean, the list goes on, as we discussed when we talked about co-culture groups in week 2 of the term. So you're going to be reaching back to week 2 and see if you can get this applied to yourself. The second thing you're going to represent in your collage is your communication culture. Now, you might have multiple communication cultures that you identify, but see if you can narrow it down to just a couple of them. And I want you to go back to Hofstede and Hall. There's individualism and collectivism and high power, low power, uncertainty avoidance, monochronic, polychronic, high context, low context. Okay, you're getting the feeling of remember this as well. And what communication cultures do you feel like best represent you? How are you going to represent that in your collage with image and language? I would be excited to see that. The third side of your multifaceted identity is your stereotype perceptions. So what stereotypes do you feel like people most often associate you with you, or you feel like you like? Is there a stereotype that you feel like you can lean into, or is there a stereotype that you feel like you're constantly in defense of and trying to combat? You decide how you want to represent this. It can be positive or negative, but I want you to think of a stereotype and that has to do with you. Fourth one is your theme song. And kind of way to think about this, like if you had your own TV show, the You Show, and it's the opening credits song to your show every week when it airs. What's that opening credit song to you? It doesn't have to necessarily be your favorite song. It might have been something different when you were in middle school, but when you're in college, going off to college here right now, what's your theme song for your life right now? Okay, so 4 is the theme song. And some people put their lyrics into their collage or the artist or the album cover. You can think about album art. 5, your reflected appraisal messages that make up your self and identity of self. So this is from chapter 3 when we talked about identity. So you could look that up in the textbook if you wanted to, or your notes. But basically, these are the messages that you have received that are your core way of knowing who you are. And some of them could be positive or lessons you've learned over time. You don't, and just do a small handful of them to kind of represent it. Obviously, we're very complex. And then you've gotten a lot of reflected appraisal messages. But which ones like you feel like you really hold with you that impact you in a positive way? Okay. Metaphor, the last one, 6, is a metaphor for you. So when we're talking about a metaphor, you're talking about something that is you. Um, in Romeo and Juliet, the metaphor is Juliet is the sun. So the sun is the metaphor for Juliet. And if we try and we don't know Juliet, but when we think about the sun, it kind of informs us about Juliet. So, what is your metaphor for where you're at in your life right now that you feel like when you say this thing, it really kind of resonates for how you feel about yourself inside? All right. So I have a lot of different examples here I'm going to show you. The classic one that most people do is they actually just divide a piece of paper. It's just a regular piece of copy paper. I don't want anything oversized, so keep it on a copy paper or a notebook paper. And they just represent 6 different things. You can see the stereotype, metaphor, co-culture. You can see all how this person's labeled everything in here and then put it up. So I like this little stereotype, frat bro. So kind of cute. All right. Here's one where someone actually kind of printed out some pictures of themselves and friends and family and put it in here. And they have also all the different like explanations and words in here, as well as the images. Again, in that 6 quadrant. Here's a couple of more that I think this one is the song lyrics. Yep. So yes, a lot of people like to put the song lyrics in there. And here's one. I like this one as well. A nice simple one. It doesn't have to, you don't have to cut out a lot of pictures. You could just pick it up on your own, but it should look like some thought was put into it. I like this one. He's got like a bigger image in the back, and then he's created. Not, now we're kind of veering off from the 6 quadrant, just squares, and just kind of showing something a little more, got a lot more variation in it, but it does have the explanation, which I am looking for in your collage. There's another one here where someone did with crowns. This one is actually from Western Oregon, an art student that was in my class who did this and did it all as her own hand art. But it's kind of like a charcoal and crown mix. So you can kind of see the co-culture groups being represented, other things in it. Here's another one with the 6 squares. This is someone who also kind of just did their own art. Here's one where it's a little more, well, kind of has a lot more variation. I would have liked it if there was a little bit more explanation for each one, but I do like the cohesion and creativity in that. This person, I don't know, they put tape. Oh, they kind of did a laminating, but with packaging tape, and it's 2-sided. So they have the explanations on one side and then the images on the other, which is a nice kind of clever way to do the assignment. I like this one too. It looks like someone just did like a copier and put in the kind of images from just black and white copies. I think that works fine. This one's mine. Bing. There's my name at the top. I made one as well. Though I made it a while ago, I might have to revise mine. I've changed a lot since I last made this. Okay, that is this assignment, and good luck to everybody on it. Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward. You're going to do great on it. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye, everyone.